Thank you for joining us this morning. Thursday was International Teachers' Day, and I watched you guys on Thursday.
Remembering our teachers.
Remembering your teachers.
Yeah.
And
one of them that I also remembered after that was my maths teacher. I still hate maths, but this particular guy, he wasn't Nigerian, I think he was Pakistani or something. Al-Bazindo White. Am I correct? Yes, correct. 2 into 2 into 2 into 2 is equal to 8. Am I correct? Yes, correct. I will never forget. That's how to multiply.
You see, whichever way you look at it, there are some teachers that you will never forget in all your life. And when we were growing up, we were told that teachers got their reward in heaven. But it looks like these days teachers want their reward on earth.
No, I think maybe,
strictly speaking, you can't blame them.
What you probably even informed that was because teaching was always looked like a thankless job or something.
It was always, no. But when students graduated, they invariably came back to say thank you to their primary school teachers who laid the foundation.
Yeah. There was no nursery school back then.
We didn't know. We went to school when our hands reached our ears. The educational sector in Nigeria has been fraught with numerous challenges, ranging from inadequate funding and infrastructure, low-quality teaching, insufficient teacher training, non-implementation of policies, corruption, and the widening education gap between urban and rural areas. That's just the tip of the iceberg. But this morning, we have the pleasure of having the company of Professor Abiola Awoshika, CEO of Sanctum Startup College, our friend, who's always with us when we're talking education. Good morning, Professor.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. We also have joining us virtually from Ikoyi, Professor Enase Okonedo, who is Vice Chancellor, Pan-African University. Good morning, Professor Okonedo. We also have two exemplary students with us this morning, students of Fidel College, Bello Mubarak, good morning, and Obende Onosereme. Good. You shall know in time why the students are exemplary and why they are here. But in the meantime, let me start with Professor Awoshika. We were celebrating Teachers' Day, and some of those people who spoke, governors, the president himself, was specific about certain things that were wrong with that particular sector. And majorly among them is the lack of adequate investment in that sector. Professor, what are your thoughts about that comment by the president?
Thank you so much. Adequate investment in that sector covers a whole lot of problems. But specifically, we need a curriculum that's fitting for today and ready for the future. We're not there at all. And if you ask me, that is where I would start. We put a lot of money in infrastructure, but as far as I'm concerned, that is still an opportunity for some people to still get some money into their pockets, not into the sector. Otherwise, when I look at videos of schools and school children, dilapidated, and ceilings are leaking.
Children are in pools of water.
But you know one thing, ma'am, those children, they look well dressed, nice, clean, and you're thinking, Mom prepared these children to go to school. The government was not ready to receive them. So what is wrong with the sector is wrong, is what the government is supposed to do for the sector. And so even if we put them under a tree, and we have the good curriculum that will take them into the future, the children will probably still have a good future. But when we put money into education, for so many years, people have been asking, where does the money go? I mean, we had a great year last year. I think the budget was, quite substantial, but we still have not seen any difference in the education sector. But so where does the money go? That's the problem.
Professor Okonedo, can you help us shed some light on that? Do you have any idea where the money goes? Because Prof here says that, yes, the budgets are getting better. The budgets are improving, but this is not evident in the quality of learning that is given to the children.
Well, thank you very much. Well, first of all, I do agree with her when she says that, we need to have a renewed focus on the curriculum. But if we want to talk about the budget, it's increased this year, 2023. In the last 2 years, it declined. But even then, when we look at the percentage of the budget that's been allocated to education, even though it's increased, compared to the benchmark that's set by UNESCO, we're not near it at all. We're about half. We're not alone, though, because for many other countries in the world, they are like that. So this year, we had more or less like 8.2%. I can't really say where the money goes, but I can say that the challenges that money is supposed to address, they are myriad. Because out of that, it's not only the funding for infrastructure, also for the teachers, everything comes into that. And, we need to consider the needs of the nation, the capacity of our existing institutions to even take on the number of children and students that we have. We have about 62% of our people that are under 24 years old. They have to go to school. Where are we going to keep them? The professor said, well, they can sit under the tree. It's true, they can sit under the tree. But then if they are subject to the vagaries of the weather, there's a problem. So for those people that we have to develop, how are we doing them? So the money is going into funding all of this, and quite frankly, it is insufficient. The largest proportion of educational needs are met by federal, state, and local governments there. Private schools just only cut the tip. It's not at all sufficient. I can't answer the question of where it goes, but I say that there is still a lot more that should be done. If we increase that budget, perhaps we can start to make a bit of progress. But I think we need to call on non-state actors to also work with us in this regard.
Just 1 second before we go away from you, Professor Okonedo. One of the things that Professor Oshika here said is that, there is a need to give a little more attention to the curriculum, what some would call the soft infrastructure in education. What's your take on that? What have we missed over time? Because I remember, you would as well, and Prof will probably be able to validate it, that back in time, people came from different parts of the world to school here in Nigeria. That's almost unthinkable now, that some people will leave.
In my lifetime.
Exactly my point.
Because at the University of Ibadan, we had exchange students from the US, from Spain, all coming to study in this country.
And some also did what they call sabbatical, came from different parts of the world to do those things here in Nigeria. But today, Nigerians go to Ghana. They go to Republic of Benin for university degrees. So what have we lost that's making the jobs of teachers more cumbersome and almost insignificant?
Okay, so that's plenty of questions. But you began with what have we missed in the curriculum. And I'll tell you a number of things. In today's world, knowledge is being created exponentially. So what we learn in the university, what I learned in the university many years ago is completely irrelevant today.
Yes.
And we face that across several disciplines. But if the focus of our education is still on subject matter, to the exclusion of all other things, we haven't cut it. Because today, of course, we need to master the subject, but there are many other things that feature to make somebody contribute to the livelihood, economic development of the nation. Nowadays, especially in environments such as ours, we need creativity. The problems we have are plenty. So we have to be able to be creative to think, how can we come up with solutions? We need adaptability. We need communication skills. To what extent do these ones feature in the curriculum? That's one. The second that I think we have missed a lot is really about whether we provide value-based education. So if we look at it, it's still very much highly focused on specific subject content, which is not bad, but there has to be more that is added onto it. So with the curriculum, that has to be looked at across board, from early child education to primary, to secondary, to tertiary. How are we educating the people? What are we educating them on? What are we preparing them for? If we think about the world of today, let's not even go to tomorrow. If we think of the world today, we need to ask ourselves, are we producing students, graduates, secondary people that can compete? Do they have the tech skills? Do they understand big data? So it's all of those ones. So that speaks to your first question, I hope, about curriculum. But then you also were asking the question, it's true indeed. When I went to school, even in secondary school, we had people that were in my school from South Africa. Those days of appetite, they would send them here to come and go to school. In university, we had the same. But then that has changed. And I think that change began with a perception of perhaps a lower quality of education. When the funding, what Professor Woshika spoke about, when the funding does not go into the development of curriculum, when the funding does not go into research, and recall that the professors will bring the research into the classroom. If there's inadequate funding, then that means that what we are teaching to them is irrelevant or is archaic. Why will people come and learn from us? So, so that's on one side. But there's other things that may contribute. Of course, the perception, again, of Nigeria, the increased cost of living, and the perception of security. We can't take those away from people's willingness to come and spend a term, a semester, or a year here. So these are my thoughts on the questions that you asked.
Professor Woshika, I saw a video where an African was chastising Africa and saying that we have the internet now. This is the digital age. And now we have AI, which is going to affect our lives in ways that we can't even begin to imagine. And he asked the question, where is Africa in all of this? The rest of the world has taken off. Africa is not even at the starting blocks yet. Do you agree with that assessment?
I don't want to agree 100%. I think Africa is already in the game. We may not be at the forefront, but we are in the game, and you know how we are. Once we start, it's very hard to keep us back.
Ain't no stopping us.
Ain't no stopping us, that's right. I had the privilege of working with one of the tech companies here in Lagos. And when I came to them, I came with knowledge of, my knowledge of technology from the US. And we worked together. And I saw what those young people, and there were, the company hired about 250 of them. And, my age brought up the average, because I was about, 60 then, and they were like 25 and 30. And so...
Your children.
I see, exactly. But I saw them at work, and I was astounded. So as far as AI, technology, and whatnot is concerned, and I'm actually glad whom this president picked for his technology person. So that's a great choice right there. And I saw what they did in Yaba, Ibutemeta. I saw what they did in Vibranium Valley. I saw what they did in. So I am excited for our technology base.
The digital economy.
Pardon me, sir?
The digital economy.
Exactly, sir. So I think we're not actually there, but we're coming.
Still talking about technology, children are exposed to all kinds of things now because of the internet, which we didn't have in our school days. How do you think this is affecting them? Either plus or minus?
Or minus, yes. It's both ways. Everything has an advantage and a disadvantage. And it makes our job as parents and teachers
more difficult.
Yes. We have to watch their every move, every step. You take something away from them, the next minute they're turning into something slightly different, but it's still doing the same thing. And you take that away from them, and these children are very smart. And so what it does is keeps us on our toes as teachers and as parents. So, for example, you have a system that's supposed to give them their school content on the internet. Well, it's not really on the internet, it's on the intranet. And from there, they find their way onto the internet and start watching what they're not supposed to watch. So what do? Well, we're not giving you access that way again. Now we're bringing the stuff to you and posting it on our website. So you constantly have to change how you're doing, how you're dealing with these children. It's not an easy task, but we just have to do it. We can't give up.
Yes.
But we cannot say, don't go on the internet, because that is where the world is going.
And even if you said don't go on the internet, that's when you are there.
So we just have to watch what they're doing when they're on the internet.
Exactly.
Okay. I told you that we had two exceptional students with us this morning from, what's the name of your school again?
Fidel College.
Fidel College. In spite of all the distractions of the internet and all that, these two students excelled in the National Mathematics Competition, which recently held in Abuja. And strangely, the student who came first and the student who came second are from the same school. Bello Mubarak, you came first.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you feel when you were announced as the winner?
Just so, why did you come first?
Why? Because I studied.
I felt amazing. I felt like I did my school proud, my parents proud, my state proud. And I felt that I finally made it through all the hard work and study.
Are you the best math student in your class?
I'm not really the best math student. Me and my friend here are really dragging with each other, but both of us are on top.
Oh, sometimes he is first and sometimes you are second.
Yes.
But unfortunately for this competition, you came second. What happened to you?
I was happy, but it was just really a game of chance. I failed the last question and he happened to get that question.
That's where you lost it and he got it. Just one question.
Yes, ma'am.
What about in class?
Well, we really just assist each other. If there's something I know that he doesn't know, I'll teach him. If there's something he knows I don't know, he teaches me.
Do you like mathematics?
Yes.
You do? Why? I've always hated it.
There's just something about it that makes me happy and excited.
You too?
What class are you in?
Grade 10.
Grade 10.
SS1.
SS1? Oh. Well, that's still a long way off. Have you made up your mind what you want to be when you leave school?
Yes, ma'am.
Please go ahead and tell us.
I want to be a neurosurgeon when I leave school.
Okay.
Oh, what about you, sir?
I want to go into engineering, and so I can build some infrastructures for the society.
I hear AI in my ears.
Somewhere, yes. Yes.
I'm hearing AI somewhere. Are you thinking in that direction?
maybe not
immediately.
But I'm going into civil engineering, and so I can build some infrastructures. So now Nigeria will be a better place.
What has the reaction around you been about that? About your achievements?
Well, I've been approved by my school. I've been celebrated a lot, and our chairman, Pastor Ayodele Adelusi, has celebrated us. He added 300,000 naira to our money we won from that competition, which was 1 million naira.
Wow. And you? What's the reaction been?
You're rich kids, huh?
No, we'll come in there. Because clearly the school fees is done. Go ahead.
So I was really happy. I was excited. Everyone was celebrating for us. Everyone was clapping. Both of us were just happy with what we had achieved.
And how do your maths teachers feel? You first.
Our math teachers felt that they made us into what we are. We did a lot of training. We progressed very well. And now when we won the competition, our math teacher, Mr. Austin Dave, was so happy, proud of us. He celebrated us very much.
Vindicated.
And you too?
Well, since we had the same math teacher, he felt extremely happy that all his hard work and preparation had paid off.
We have just about 5 minutes to go.
Yes, quickly. Let me go to Professor Okonedo. And I say, these two students here are from private schools. That is not saying that public schools are not doing okay. What do you think is the major difference between a student who's attending a private school and one who's in a public school?
Thank you. One, I think that the teachers that teach in the private schools may be more motivated than those in the public school system on account of the remuneration. The pay in private schools is higher for teachers. So obviously with those people, there's more motivation, and then they can put which is not to say, I have found very dedicated teachers in some public schools that really focus on the students, but they're realities. Because even for you to give the quality of education, you need to keep learning. That's the key thing that teachers, you don't go and learn a subject, learn how to teach, and it ends there. You need to keep learning. And I'm glad that the conversation turned to technology, because really the way that you can learn about how to educate, new challenges in the ways that you teach, which is brought on by all those technological things, as well as what you're teaching. Mainly, it may be through the internet, and yet the spending capacity is limited. So that's one, that's the key difference. The second is that I think that in private school system, there's a bit more leeway for you to add things onto the curriculum. So it's not just a cookie cutter approach of, what happens there is that you have to take it and use it as it is. So there's more room for you to include things which you feel are critical and helpful for the students. So that may account for the differences that we see.
Well, let me ask, let's wind down with this. What motivation do you think governments at various levels, the president or the federal government has said, okay, they're going to add more of the budgets, budget more for education, at the federal level. But then I'm not sure the same thing is going to cascade down to the states. So what kind of motivation would you say that the governments at various levels need to do the needful in terms of education so that it can be more futuristic?
Well, it has to start with our teachers, because they're the ones imparting the knowledge. And so we need to pay them well. And it's not even just about basic salary. We need to also take care of them in terms of, housing and, transportation. And, this last few months has been grueling for teachers. And
for everybody.
But teachers most of all, because of what you said earlier, their reward is supposed to be in heaven. Other people, they're allowed to earn a lot in this life. But teachers are so, and it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
So we need to take care of the teachers, even training. train and retrain them for the future so that they can get to the children.
Professor Konedu.
Yes. In addition to what Professor Woshika has said, I would say let's also recognize them. You know, there's something rewarding when you are recognized for the work that you do. And I don't think that our teachers get enough credit, especially those who contend with the challenges that come with teaching in the public school system with limited resources. That's a generalization across them. So recognition, awards, and just sort of motivating them in other ways, in addition to what Prof has said, will be useful.
Well, let me take 10 seconds from you guys. What do you think your teachers need to do better?
Well, I think our teachers need just motivation and proper students to teach, to make everything better for them.
Well, when our teachers have that, they still need to put time into their own accounts and learn more so that they will have more to teach the students.
Interesting.
Professor Konedo, your final word, please, on this matter.
Let's all work together. Government can't do it alone. Private, public sector, let's work together and see what we can do. If we recognize the importance of teachers to the future of this country, we will pay more attention to the education sector.
Professor Woshika.
Yeah, I agree with Professor Konedo. Let's work together. Public, private, government, state governments. Let's work together.
Thank you very much. That's where we have to weigh the anchor this morning. Professor Abiola Awoshika, CEO of Sanctum Startup College, joined us in our studio in Lagos. Professor Enase Okonedo, Vice Chancellor, Pan-African University, joined us virtually from Ikoyi. And we had two students from Fidel College, Lagos, Bello Mubarak and Obende Onosereme. Outstanding students who were first and second in the national maths competition, which just ended in Abuja. Thank you all very much for joining us this morning in celebration of Teachers' Day. Sunrise will return in just a moment. Do stay with us.